So most of you must be wondering what this complete session is all about, or what this platform is all about. So we have a small video that talks a bit about what this platform is all about, wherein we are inviting all the innovators, anyone who loves technology, anyone who wants to work with some of the emerging uh, startup solutions can be a part of this community, growing community. Piyush, can we have the video quickly, please? We have a 2-minute video that talks little about the Open Innovator platform.
Welcome to Open Innovator, your one-stop platform for navigating the age of disruption. In this dynamic platform, we connect industry leaders, ingenious innovators, and forward-thinking investors to unlock groundbreaking solutions. At Open Innovator, we fuel your competitive edge by partnering with industry leaders to identify key organizational quotients, the fundamental factors driving success in this new era. Our platform invites world-class thought leaders to discuss cutting-edge technology. These expert sessions offer valuable insights into the latest technological advancements, providing you with the knowledge to stay ahead. We also spotlight the country's hottest startups, giving them a stage to present their innovations in front of industry leaders. This unique opportunity bridges the gap between emerging technologies and real-world industry challenges. The heart of Open Innovator is community. We are building a strong network of leaders, innovators, explorers, and advocates of technology. Through our thriving deep tech community and actionable networking events, we foster an environment of knowledge exchange and collaboration. Our comprehensive use case repository empowers both industry leaders and startups with real-world examples of innovation in action. These data-driven strategies demonstrate the potential of technology to transform industries. Join the open innovation movement today. Adapt, thrive, and unlock the future of innovation with us.
We'll now start the session. It's already 5:05. All right, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Open Innovator Knowledge Session, as we call it, where we are about to embark on a really exciting journey into the fascinating world of large language models, or LLM as we say it, right? So today's topic is LLM turbocharge, optimizing for widespread impact. Well, impact is one of our favorite words. We live for it. So I'll tell you a little later how. So let's understand the basics of LLM. Think of them as the brains behind many of the AI-powered tools that we interact daily on a daily basis. They process information, understand context, whatever we give them as a prompt, generate human-like text. So this is just one of the many examples. It's like you can think of LLMs as having a super smart assistant who never needs a coffee break, right? And today we'll break it down for all of our attendees and give you a foundational understanding of how these models work and how do they do all their magic. But that's not all. We'll also deep dive into innovative ways to optimize LLMs for practical use cases, which is very important, right? We'll discuss some of the cutting use cases across various industries. Now, imagine the possibilities when we harness their power more effectively. It's like, turning your car into a super rocket ship. So we'll see it through practical examples, right? And we are also going to explore how these optimized models can create widespread impact, right? Again, impact. So from healthcare to finance, the potential is limitless. And of course, we have some of the interactive sessions lined up for you. Be ready to engage in a lively discussion and witness live pitches and from some of the country's hottest startups, all eager to showcase their groundbreaking ideas. So these pitches, you can think of them as a more refined and a more structured version of Shark Tank for tech wizards, where they will pitch their innovative solutions instead of their business ideas, right? Here all talk will revolve around innovative solutions, cutting-edge technology, use cases, applications. So whether you are a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or simply curious about future of AI, there's something here for everyone out here. So let's spark some inspiration and explore the incredible potential of LLMs, right? And without further ado, let's jump right in. As you can see, I'm already excited to introduce the esteemed jury. Can we have the jury on the screen, please? Who will be guiding today's discussion and evaluations? So we'll be evaluating the pitches also. Their diverse experience, expertise, and insights will play a crucial role in shaping our understanding of LLMs and their impact. So please welcome. We have Abhay Joshi, who's a data science manager at L'Oreal. Abhay, can we have you on the screen, please? Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Abhay. So we have Shrikant Krishnamurthy, who's a principal architect at GAVS. Hi, Shrikant. We have Ashutosh Gupta, principal architect at Tenor.
Hello.
Hi. And we have Ravi Kumar Ramamurthy, who's the technology manager at Yokogawa. We also have Jitendra Singh, head of innovation at WNS. We have Bijoy Chatterjee, head of department Future Tech at Volkswagen Technology Group. And we have Ravindra Rapeti, digital innovation leader at Carrier. And all right, do we have all the speakers on the screen, all the jury? Okay. And now may I please invite Sanjeev Malhotra to set the stage for today's discussion.
A very warm welcome to everyone, all the speakers and all the attendees who have joined us. Naman has already given a pretty sound introduction of what we intend to do. As we sit amidst the sort of a transformation we are going through, there's hardly a discussion that happens where AI is not a topic, whether I do it on the corporate side or I do it on the government side. And things are changing at a very rapid pace, but most of the work is happening, I would say, around Silicon Valley and around US. India still has some good things happening, but I think there is a lot more we can do. And this forum is meant primarily to see how we, together with the collective intellect, collective knowledge, collective effort, how do we speed up this effort in India and be an important contributor into the global advancement of technology, as well as see how do we rapidly adopt some of these technologies in our corporate, in our government usage. That's what we do. We are a platform where we take these technologies into the right places as to have to find a good use case for them. While a lot of advancement has happened in the areas of LLMs, but there are still use cases which are wanting to be solved, and we do not have as many applications as the investment that has gone into it. So as I said, I mean, this is not a job that a single organization or a single team can solve, and this forum intends to bring our intellectual power together and see how we speed up some of these things. Today's topic is very interesting on optimizing LLMs. While LLMs, some of these open sources are available, some other are available for fee. We'd like to hear from our esteemed jury, just as a starting point on how they intend on using these LLMs in their corporate world, and what are the areas that they see as impediments for its usage, either in their corporate or in the environment around them. So probably we'll just start with a 2-minute introduction from everybody onto their experiences on LLMs, and then we'll quickly get on to some of the interesting work that is happening in the startup. We have, as Naman said, 3 cutting-edge startup here with us, and then we look to have a healthy discussion among ourselves. Objective is to see how these things can be proliferated across in the industry as well as in the global world. But before we get to that, I think to our jury, I will probably, Naman, I don't know, you want to start with the name, and nobody's got a video on, so I'm wondering whether the video is not working or people are camera shy. I don't know.
we can see some of the happy faces now.
All right. Maybe then it's not showing up in mine. Um, so who do we go first with?
It's an open question, open discussion, and so any jury member is welcome to participate. Ashutosh or
Yeah,
Abhay, would you like to go first?
I can go.
Yeah, sure.
So, thank you, Sanjeev, for setting up the stage, right? So, I'm Asutosh. I come from Dahner, India, which is a completely life science-based organization, and currently definitely is a challenge for each and everyone to just bring LLM and start using it, because from the security point of view or the data privacy point of view, right? So we always have a two vertical normally in all the corporate organization. We one is a product line and one is normally we call the developer productivity or the process excellence. So that is where what we did. We started our journey last year with improving the overall productivity to on day to day our work life, right? So what we do on day to day, how to improve our day to day productivity and improve the time to market. So that is where we started our. There is a lot of data which is there in on our side, which we can use it for the AI purpose and bring that overall productivity, improve the overall productivity. So the first thing what we did, we as we come from the mostly on the development side of the software industry, what we started, as we have a lot of data in terms of our wiki pages or the conferences, we started bringing our own RAG. Normally, so the RAG what comes from the LLM is a step two, where you want to build your you can say the application based on your private data instead of build coming from all the global data. So that is where first thing we started, because that is was very quickly to do it. So with our data we started writing a crawler and then started some Azure OpenAI. So mostly we started a cloud from the Azure and we started building our own co-pilot, you can say, and based on our data. The second thing is, as we come from that again from development, how we improve the overall day to day, like auto code review. So we build auto code review based on a normal basic coding standard, etc. So every time developer writes a code, how quickly it can go to the next line pipeline. So that is where we started building using Azure this different model. It comes from this basically from GPT-4, which is available on Australian region when we started, and we started consuming those things. And finally, what we are trying to do now, we are also thinking how to improve the also our QA part, especially on the quality insurance, where the QA comes and they verify the thing. So how do we automate that as well with the this model? So this all the work we started on the especially on the process excellence, or you can call as a improving overall development productivity. We also have started using Microsoft Copilot, which is also one of the biggest. We see the improvement in the overall productivity. We started using. So that these are the thing we initiative we started, and now we are thinking why not to jump on the product line. So as we slowly developing the muscles around that, so it is the right time to build and do the fine tuning. So there are two words you see, the RAG and the fine tuning. So now we are moving from the RAG to the fine tuning, and we wanted to build our model on top of that and do it. So that is overall from our side. Yeah.
Thank you. That was very informative. So let's hear from other jury members.
Abhay?
Yeah, sure. Hi, team. So I'm from L'Oreal. I think you would have heard of our beauty products, right? So I'm a part of the data science team, and we have been partnering with NASCOM for more than 2 to 3 years. So today in our industry right now, how we use LLMs, how we use Gen AI is different to what other tech industries are using, since our focus is more on research side. So we tend to enable our researchers more on how LLMs can solve purposes related to all the research activity we do internally. So basically our major focus is more in terms of, we generate a lot of research reports, how we can use LLM reports to understand and relate and correlate information related to suppose certain study done in the past, and we keep on modifying our new existing methodologies using LLMs. What was the gap previously? What is the existing process? We are using LLMs to connect that part. There is also one more major use case in our industry is that there are a lot of social media reviews. So since we are into beauty industry, there are a lot of social influencers, social media influencers, right? So they post a lot of information through either on a retailer website or through social media websites. So what we are trying to do through using LLMs is to extract the sentiment, extract the topics that have been discussed. Because for us, L'Oreal, if we have to innovate as per the demand of the users, we have to first understand what is the topic being discussed by the Gen Z. And today, as we know that the era is of the Gen Z, and they use social media to
Did we lose him or did I?
Right. Some internet issue.
All right. Let's give it a few seconds and then otherwise we can move to the next one. So Ravindra, shall we hear from you? You have been
Sure.
the
Yeah,
first
sure.
one to visit. Maybe cutting. Okay, he's back. Abhay.
Yeah, so sorry. I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, so was coming to the point that yes, there are a lot of social media reviews. We try to use LLMs to extract topics. We try to use LLMs to create insight from the reports that are being generated, because our researchers, they are not tech savvy. So they are chemical scientists, they are PhD in chemistries and biotechnology. So for them, we have to make their life simple. So this is how our data science team is supporting them by using all the LLMs, and also considering the security, and we being part of the research, we always have to make sure that we don't go with the open source without understanding how security can impact our part. So that's why we use Microsoft Azure or certain other services which provide us a lot of security from the company's perspective.
Wonderful. Well, who thought? I mean, people can know now that beauty business is not an easy business, right?
Yes, exactly.
Ravindra,
Thank you.
thanks.
I lead the innovation for career from the digital side. I think I go with my colleagues Ashutosh and Abhay. I think we're in a very early stage of LLMs or the Gen AI adoption. And as a company, I think, like most enterprises, we are experimenting a lot of use cases around, right from marketing to our IoT platform, especially on the. I think we as a company, Carrier represents intelligent climate solutions. And we do offer a lot of services to our B2B customers through our IoT platform called Abound. And one of the hassle that we're trying to solve, one use case is basically around customers have different energy bills that come from different providers. And we try to do a hybrid with using a bit of OCR as well as an LLM model linked to it, so that it actually identifies where the bill is coming from, which vendor or which energy provider, and then it actually uses Amazon Bedrock and Tesseract to really digest and automate and make it very easy for the customer to provide everything in one stop, which really got a very good feedback from our customers. And we are building similar models that are very customer centric in nature, where we can deploy Gen AI. And maybe another quote on how we are doing on the marketing. Recently last year, we did work with a startup out of Bangalore, creating a first AI-enabled digital ad. So I think the startup brought in a very interesting LLM model that can actually create a virtual space for you based on the details you provided through text. So it actually created a very cool living space. And then we can actually install a 3D model of our air conditioning in a living room, and with high customization, and that now go to market by more than 3 to 4 weeks. And it's not that it is also bring down our cost a bit. So I think there's a lot of opportunity across the board for all of our enterprises are experimenting. We're trying to understand what it can do. and I'm sure we are the very can talk a little bit more, but yeah, over to the next member. Thanks.
Thank you. So, Naman, who else is here?
So, all right, we have just got started, so we'll continue the discussion throughout the series. So we may now have our first startup, first presenter, right? And then we may discuss further on the LLM applications and some of the use cases, right? So our first presenter for the day is Xylem.ai, and we have Arko, the co-founder of Xylem. We have you on the screen, please.
Hey, I'm audible?
Lovely. Yes, we can see you now. All right. So you have 10 minutes, to talk about your solution, the problem statement, the tech stack or the solution that you have built, and the impact that it has created or has a potential to create. And then we open up for the round of discussions, right? So Arko, you are the first presenter. Over to you.
Cool. Should I use a deck or should I just go without one?
Deck would be better. Any day, it's a better option.
I think I gotta rejoin because it's not letting me share the screen. Just give me 1 second.
Piyush, can you please check quickly?
Yeah, he's a presenter. I think you can present Arko.
Arko, you can present. You can see a share button. It's taking time. We will move to the second speaker while Arko rejoins. Right. So do we have? While the presenters, come up, I would request our audience also, to pay attention to some of the pitches, and you may have your questions. You may use the chat box to, shoot your questions, and you may feel free to ask questions directly from the chat box, right? Right. So we have Arko again. Arko, can you give it a try once again?
Yep.
Is it working now?
It works. Yeah, it works.
While he brings up his screen, to all our audience, all our attendees out there, please introduce yourself and ask your question. All the presenters would be happy to answer them during the session, during the live session. All right, up.
Yeah. Is my screen coming up on your end?
The blank screen, right?
Just a sec. It should be there. Sorry for the lag. I think it should be visible if I'm not. So let me know if it's visible, and I think we can take it from there.
It's good, Arko, you can proceed.
Cool. Yeah, so hi guys, I'm Arko. I'm the co-founder of Xylem AI. We are building fast and scalable infrastructure for LLM fine-tuning and inferencing. The core problem statement that we have been seeing is that as we move towards a world where the shift to AI is becoming as close to the shift to cloud 20 years back, the biggest bottleneck that people are seeing is most AI strategies are still on paper and not really on production. While, as many of you still mentioned, that a lot of these applications have gone into production, a lot of them are still on paper, and a bunch of them are still under very controlled production workloads. And at large, what we are seeing is when people go into production, they first start with GPT or Claude from OpenAI or Anthropic. They try Azure or they try Bedrock for using their APIs out. But eventually, for multiple reasons, be it model ownership, be it IP retention and model ownership, or be it latencies that such large models end up causing you, or be it just verticalizing towards your use case and your domain, people tend to move to open source models, and a lot of enterprises have already started figuring out that they have their own roadmap towards moving to open source models and creating this a multi-model stack where you have OpenAI's GPT, Anthropic's Claude, and a bunch of these fine-tuned models, all of them running together to essentially give you an end outcome which is way more accurate and way more specialized than a single generalized model doing everything for you. Now, why should you ideally go for an open source model? There are three major pieces. One is, of course, you get the control of the IPs of these models. You understand the policies around these models being like the policies around various models keeps changing, the licenses keep changing. So when you end up fine-tuning your own models and keep training on top of that, eventually you have end-to-end control of these models and the IPs of these models. Secondly, you get massive verticalization and customizability benefits. It's pretty much saying GPT is a close to 2 trillion parameter model, while if you go for a smaller 7B or 8B model, you can actually tweak the behavior of those models much easily with much lesser data, and they can actually deliver much lower API costs as well as much lower latencies when you're actually using them in production. So that's where we feel like having custom models built out on open source LLMs is probably the future, and running multiple smaller models and orchestrating them together and running them in production is where most enterprises as well as mid-market companies will get to. The problem is that building it is very hard. The open source AI stack is almost a mess. The easiest thing today that people end up doing is using a third-party API of open source models and then trying to fine-tune or deploy on top of whatever native, like cloud native platform you get. So you get your Azure AI Studio, you get Vertex AI from GCP, or you get Bedrock from AWS. All of them come with the core problem that these are not specialized stacks. These are a new additional service that any of these cloud providers will spin up to capture the initial market. But the problem is that they're not specialized to run LLM workloads or developer workflows around training LLMs. So what happens is the core optimizations of running LLMs, running inferencing, training, that's not really built out in these stacks. So that's where we come in. Our goal is to provide you like a Heroku or a Red Hat like stack for open source LLMs, where you can fine-tune your models, pre-train your own models, and then run inferences at lightning fast speeds. We offer serverless APIs of fine-tuned models, which is pretty much like you pay per token basis, or you can do dedicated deployments on your own GPU, and we can give you 4 times the scale on the same GPU compared to an AWS Bedrock. So that's pretty much where we come in. Like a team of DevOps engineers should ideally come in and optimize your stack for 1.5 years to get to these kinds of performances. We provide this to you out of the box. So your cloud costs are lower, your queries are resolved faster, your latencies are better. And of course, you can run multiple models on the backend for the least total cost of ownership. This is pretty much how our stack looks like. We sit on top of the cloud. We have our fine-tuning stack, we have our inference stack, and in the middle of it, you get the logging systems to make sure your GPUs are up and running, your APIs are up and running, and as well as you get evals and model weight storage, and you can access them in 3 major ways. We have our APIs that you can directly interface the models through. You have our cloud platform that you can run these models on, that you can run these jobs on top of. Or we also provide SDKs for enterprise customers where you can pretty much integrate our stack inside your existing MLOps platform itself. The goal is to get you like 10x faster time to market. You get the whole stack out of the box, your inference speeds and latencies are way higher, your GPUs are performing 3 to 5 times better than they would. You get total ownership of the data and your models, and it's 100% cloud agnostic, so it can sit on any cloud provider that you might already be having GPU deals with. Just that we become that additional service layer without you having to use subpar products like Bedrock, Azure AI Studio, or something like Vertex AI. These are some of the case studies of fine tunings that have been done on our stack. Our stack will be out in private beta with about 20 more teams next month itself. So we'll have like a lot more fine-tuned models running on our stack. And currently we are the second highest in terms of LLM inference speeds globally. The highest being Fireworks AI. We already have matched their speeds internally. We do about 300 tokens per second on 7TV models, about 250 tokens per second on mixture of experts. We have matched their speeds. We'll release the next set of benchmarks in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we help you squeeze the most out of your GPUs on your cloud, so you don't really have to spend on 3-4 GPUs. Instead, you can get the most out of one single GPU itself. And these are across different models on different card specifications, and that's more or less it. We are the DevOps team that you never need to hire. We become a product for you. That's our overall proposition. Would love to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, that was quick and crisp. So we open up for questions now. To all our jury.
Yeah, Arko, hi, this is Abhay here. So I have just one question related to the LLMs that you mentioned. So on the use cases part, I understand that you use the open source LLMs and compare the accuracy and make it more robust and more faster. But from industry perspective, if you can share any use case that can help us understand, because in our industry also we use open source LLMs which suffice our say day-to-day tasks, but in your case, if how this will impact from the solution perspective, can you share some of the use cases, not with the interest of not of the time, but suppose if you can share something through me, you can get in touch with someone and get my email, but if you can share a use case so that I can discuss internally with the team if we have any projects that can require something related to your part, because I understood the what as a company, what you are trying to focus upon. But like in certain cases, in our case, we can't get away with Google Cloud because that is the company norm that we follow. But then we want to also understand that how we can use your resources with our industry perspective, considering how you can fit into our environment and all. So one use case will be helpful for me to understand.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we run on GCP, we run on Azure, we run on AWS or Oracle, or any other hyperscaler. You can just go to a tier 2, tier 3 hyperscaler as well. That there also we run. Okay. We just need the virtualized GPUs to run on top of it. That's pretty much the requirement for us. And I mean, we have really varied use cases. One of the highlights of the use cases would probably be coding copilots that are more domain specific to them. A lot of these people have enough SQL queries that they have collected with GPT. Now they want to feed that into a smaller model to make sure it can do like way better on natural language to SQL generation for their analysis workloads. We have legal copilot companies that are feeding more and more legal and contractual data to be able to draft end-to-end contracts and compliance document reviews. So I'll send across an email, and we can set up a shorter call as well.
Sure. Arko, we'll be happy to introduce you to Arko.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. Perfect. Yeah. So and we also have a representation from GAPS. We have Srinath. So Srinath, over to you. We'll also include you in the next set of discussion. So meanwhile, you can ask your question also directly to Arko.
Yeah, sure. Hey Argo, thanks for the presentation. A lot of it was relatable in many of the problems we are solving. For our clients, we've seen cases where it seems better to start with smaller models tuned to custom data rather than start with larger models which might end up hallucinating or confabulating. So especially Mistral and other things have been we've done it on-prem for certain clients in some cases. So one question I had was if in cases where you're also running on top of cloud GPUs, you also mentioned you're getting 3 to 5x improvements or better in some way. Could you give some intuition of how you're extracting that extra performance when you're running on top of cloud GPUs themselves?
So basically, why like the problem is that GPUs in itself are general purpose compute cards. They're not really specialized for only inference. You'll have 3D modeling, 3D imaging, bunch of other workloads running, image generation workloads running. So what happens is, now if you look at a GPU architecture, you have two pieces of memory. You have VRAM and SRAM. What happens is the memory bandwidth starts choking because of how big the LLM models are. So 7 billion parameter model would be about 14 to 16 GBs of memory on the card. Now, what we essentially do is we make sure that this memory bandwidth choking just gets freed up as fast as possible by using our own inference stack that we have built out, which in a very high level would mean like we batch together multiple requests and we send them across the memory bandwidth so that it's not choked all the time, and a lot of the back and forth between the two memory components are reduced so that you can essentially finish more operations in a given second in a way. So that's pretty much what we optimize for.
Okay, and if I understand correctly, you are probably doing it more efficiently than, let's say, Bedrock Robotics AI might be doing, right? So any benchmarks around this would also be helpful offline if you could share, because it's a common requirement for us. Thanks.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think like all the cloud providers, apart from that, I think these open source libraries as well, like there's VLLM, there's TGI from Hugging Face, we are outright like 3 to 4 times better on throughputs compared to any of these guys.
Yeah, quite interesting. Look forward to more details on that.
We'll now take one question from the audience. So we have a question from Niranjan Sanjay. I'm working as a project manager at AT Global, and all right, so this is a generic question. Let me open the chat. So if you talk about Arco, if we talk about the commercials or how are they placed, quickly, any ballpark number or any rough idea for our attendees and other participants to know?
So we have 3 major offerings. One is of course for developers where they just come in and pay per use. So that's just token-based pricing on serverless APIs. So it's about $1 per million tokens, 50 times cheaper on input than GPT-4, 120 times cheaper on output than GPT-4. The second tier is where you get team collaboration, RBAC, dedicated deployments, again on our managed cloud. That's like based on whatever components you pick, it ranges between about anywhere between like a 15 to it can go up to like $40,000 a year kind of a license. And then final is the on-prem. That's where we pretty much ship the whole software stack like a SaaS on your private cloud, on your virtual machines. So you bring your own compute, you pay us a flat fee, no hidden costs. It's just that you will have better sleep because AWS won't spin up a $200,000 bill suddenly the next morning.
Right.
So you just know the no hidden cost, flat fee, and you know how much compute you're paying AWS for.
Right. And quickly, Arco, if you can just quickly answer a question from Shashank Manik. So he wants to know, can we use the platform only on top of hyperscaler or locally as well? Quickly, if you can just quickly answer this.
You can run it. I mean, if you have local GPUs on bare metal, then yeah. But the problem is most people don't really have GPUs or clusters on-prem. If you do, then yeah, we can virtualize and deploy our managed Kubernetes on top of it and run it over there. So that's not your problem.
All right, awesome. So thank you so much, Arco. That was quite an impressive pitch, and looking forward to connecting with you offline and engaging in further discussions. Thank you so much. Right, please be with us. So before we move to our next presenter for today, we would like to open up the discussion again. We would like to bring in all our juries, including Srinath from Gavs, and then we have Ravi from Yokogawa. I have a question. I have an open-ended question, and this is specifically and particularly submitted by a community of startups. I would also like to bring in Sanjeev sir. So can we have you on the screen, please? I want you to answer it first, and then we'll have jury answering it. So we work with a lot of startups over. We have built a community of over 3,500 deep tech startups, particularly deep tech startups, right? So my question to all of you present here is, in what ways, can we overcome the barriers to entry for smaller companies who are looking to leverage LLM or let's say any AI tech stack? So sir, over to you, and then we will have Srinath and Ravi and others answering. Barriers to entry.
So, from our side, when I say from this, I represent the COE, which is basically promoting a lot of this technology development within the smaller companies and also adoption of these technologies. For us, the barriers which I have heard, definitely hardware cost is one of the barriers, be it on the call it cloud cost or a local or whatever that might be. So we are trying to see how do we make some of this computing available to them. That is one thing from my side. And then other thing is, how do we get some cookie cutter type of solutions for them to say that how can they easily make this adoption of this in their environment. So these are two things, and that's where we'll take help of the companies like Arcos and others, so as we put more of this computing together, that will be my thought. But obviously each person is in a different environment. They will have different set of issues and problems to deal with. So it'll be good to hear from others.
Right. So this is an open question. Anyone who wants to come in, pitch in? Srinath, Abhay, Ashutosh, yes, please go ahead, Srinath.
Yeah, hi. I'm Srinath, the principal architect here at GANS, and so this is an interesting question. We work with both large enterprises and startups, and specifically for startups, I think one of the key trade-offs we briefly discussed with Arco as well is about when do you want to use a large LLM service like OpenAI or others versus when you can use a smaller LLM which you can tune for your own data. In many cases, we find that even very small LLMs like Flanty 5, if they're tuned with your own custom data for a very specific use case, that performs reasonably well. But that of course requires a little more effort than just using a ready-made large LLM like OpenAI. So I think the entry barrier is if you can try to find a specific use case for your own data that you can try with open source LLMs and use maybe services like Arcos, those I think would reduce the cost barrier significantly.
Right. All right. Any other thoughts before we go to the next presenter? Fine. So we'll quickly move to the next presenter and then we'll again continue the discussion. So we have Raga AI and the presenter. We have Jigar from Raga AI who's presenting today.
Hey Naman, yeah, can you hear me?
Do we have Jigar? All right, Jigar, can we have you on the screen, please?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me though.
Right, loud and clear. Yes, we can see you now.
Perfect. Awesome.
Please share your screen. You may take us through your presentation.
Sure. So thanks everyone for taking the time today to connect with us. Let me share my screen. Is this up? Can folks see it?
Right, we can see it. Yes.
Awesome. So at Raga AI, so I'm Jigar. I am one of the founding team members at Raga AI, and I lead the product management efforts here. Raga AI is a firm focused on quality of AI applications. Our goal and mission is to enable people to deploy AI in production systems, but also at the same time be very conscious of making sure that very conscious of security, safety, reliability. Right? These are the big challenges that we are solving from our side. things that I think most people on this call actually know about. Building prototypes has been easy, getting to market has been a challenge. And the concerns are like the ones that we just mentioned. Examples of issues with reliability include hallucinations, right? So we all know of cases there. When it comes to safety and security, there's lots of worries about things like PII leakage, bias, as well as adversarial attacks. So all of those concerns need to be taken care of before you go to production at scale. And obviously cost is something that we have discussed in this conversation till date. These are the exact challenges that Raga AI is handling. And the way we are doing this is by introducing a very comprehensive testing layer within the AI development stack. Right? So if we think of your LLM or AI development journey in 4 steps, where prototyping is stage 1, like getting ready for enterprise scale is stage 2, testing and QA pre-deployment is stage 3, which is where our product comes in, and then some amount of in-production testing and monitoring is also critical, where Raga AI solution fits. So if we just take an analog to the world of software, before we deploy software applications today, they are thoroughly tested, right? We have a separate independent QA team actually validating these applications, even though they are deterministic in nature. AI is non-deterministic. The kind of problems they solve, or at least prompts they answer to, can be much, much more varied. And at its point in time, our capabilities to actually test these applications before they go to production are sorely lacking. So that is exactly how we are. This is exactly the problem we are solving at Raga AI with our testing platform. So with that, let me just give you let me just talk about the value proposition quickly, right? For our customers, the value that we deliver is simply reduction in AI failures in a production setting, up to 93% alignment with human evaluation, which is state of the art. Obviously, crossing the gap between production to market 3 times faster, and obviously the last piece is a reduction in cost as well, because often the choice between a larger model and a smaller model is not just about cost, right? It's about quality and making sure this decision is happening in real time in the best possible way. So that is exactly the value that we have been delivering to our clients. We just will walk you through, right, what the product looks like from our side. So the kind of applications, our focus is on enabling comprehensive quality evaluations for all kinds of GenAI applications. An example would be a Q&A chatbot in the world of e-commerce, right, where some of our proprietary metrics around hallucination detection, guardrails.
Who's there?
Sorry. Okay, so we'll continue on guardrails around safety and security like toxicity, bias, and PII detection, and also understanding things like context relevance. If you're building a RAG application, are things that data scientists can use easily out of the box through our Python package. And once configured, the idea is not just to, so obviously we are detecting in an automated fashion hallucinations. So this is an example for this purpose, where somebody is asking a question. Not just is the automated system detecting that there is a hallucination, but it's also providing a reasoning as to why this is being detected as a hallucination, something that can be manually verified by human beings if required. And that's where, like I said, we get our 93% alignment with human evaluation that we see on our platform. That's a key piece of the product. We don't stop at just metrics, automated metrics. The insight for data science teams is to understand where are the problems emanating from. If your problem is actually hallucinations, that can be solved, or at least you can try and mitigate it by changing LLMs or changing LLM sizes. That's not the only lever to pull. If you're building a RAG application and most of your problems are coming from good information retrieval, that is a problem to be solved by better indexing methods and better retrieval methods. So actionability of metrics is something that we focus on deeply as part of our product. Right? So this is one dimension, metrics. The second is in the real world, when our product is, when you are taking your applications in production, our system is actually testing them in real time. Our metrics are optimized for cost and latency, making sure that these are things that you can run in real time and redirect which model to use, Or for example, whether you want to go to a rule-based application rather than using an LLM for an application in real time. This happens at the level of a prompt. So what you see here is like data drift detection in real time, trying to understand if there are certain points coming through, things that we have very low confidence on when it comes to model performance, and real-time routing, which is after the fact available for data scientists to view and solve for. So that is the product that we are building at Raga AI. Just to highlight some of the key differentiation points for the firm. One of them is that product is fully deployed on the enterprises, right? So it's at an arm's length with the application which is running, other than the guardrail split. The other is we talked about quality, we talked about cost of evals and latency. Comprehensiveness is just as important. While there are some metrics in the open source world to look at question answering systems, it is the quality of metrics is poor. And when we think about things like code generation or text to SQL generation, not to mention agentic applications, there's a massive dearth of a framework to evaluate it holistically. That is what Raga AI brings to the table, right? And finally, not like just to talk about, like, I mean, we know that there's a lot of regulation coming through in and around AI quality and AI risks, whether it is from the EU AI Act, whether it is from White House. So all the testing that we enable on our platform is aligned to the guidelines offered by NIST as well as the ISO. So that is something that we are helping our customers get ready for today. Yeah. So that's really what I wanted to cover. Open to questions and feedback.
Thank you, Jigar. Again, an impressive page and on time. So we'll now open up for questions. All right, we see a few hands raised. We have Ravi. Ravi, over to you, Ravi. Srinath, Ravi, there are lots of questions, right? You have a few questions coming up your way. Ravi, we'll go with you first. Ravi, you are on mute if you are speaking. You are on mute if you are speaking.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so thanks for the presentation. So this is Ravi from Yokohama. So actually one of the things that we initially faced while we started to use the LLM models with our first project, and coming from the industrial automation background and oil and gas domain. So one of the main issue that we faced with the LLM was the consistency of the results that we used to get from that. And definitely in the first project, like, we failed, like one of the document which we wanted to use as a specification document, like, which we can use to train an LLM, like LLM literally failed over that. We were not able to get the consistent result. So now if I use your platform for such things, like I try different models and basically train it, and can I evaluate from the consistency of the results that I get? Because in my domain, the answer has to be accurate. Like, I can't really say, like, if my spec says my voltage is like 1 to 2 volts, and I can't give some different answer every time. So will your platform address such challenges or issues?
So thanks for the question, Ravi. The short answer is yes, we do that. It's the test on our platform is called robustness testing, right? So trying to see if we were to tweak the prompts marginally, will the answer change drastically? That is one of the most important tests on our platform, and it is used by firms already who are in the world, like, who require Six Sigma quality, right? In the world of healthcare, in the world of aerospace, for example. So happy to get into more details on that.
Okay, thanks. I will try to connect with you offline on this. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jigar. So we now move to Srinath.
Hi, Jigar. So again, focusing on correctness and hallucinations, a couple of scenarios I just wanted to hear your thoughts on. So first is the classical text-based tasks, right? Like either summarization, question answering, where how do we know whether I think you gave an example of whether the answer is correct. So trying to, if you can elaborate a bit more on whether you use the same LLM to find the reason, or how do you find the reason of why a hallucination is happening. Second category is when in a lot of use cases we are using LLMs to just generate insights. Like let's say in a supply chain finding issues, we just pass LLM data to the LLM and ask it to find insights. Here it's not a textual task, it's more of an insights reasoning task. And here, how can your tool help, or any suggestions there?
Right. So great question, Srinath. Right. On the first one, so there are three kinds of metrics that we enable on our platform for hallucination detection. Like they can range from your NLP-based metrics like n-gram overlap, for example, between context and response, to semantic similarity, right? Your cosine similarities, for example, to finally what is state of the art is LLM as a judge, right? What you mentioned. We don't usually prompt the same LLM. We have our own fine-tuned models available for you to actually use for that purpose. That is where the cost and quality optimization metrics comes in. So that's the answer for one. The second one that you're talking about, insight generation, right? So I think we heard about research use cases earlier in this discussion, right? Where people are using LLMs for research purposes. It's a co-pilot to people whose job is to do research anyways, right? So obviously the onus on quality on that front is lower, right? So we don't necessarily need a high quality bar to get to production. But what is important is like over time human feedback is that being distilled into understanding where the gaps are and are we able to actionably improve our systems over time. That is where our customers use our platform. Right. So even when we talk about fine tuning, just to dive one level deeper, right? Fine tuning is great. Fine tuning on what data? I mean, like, do I just collect data and hope it works better? I mean, what kind of data do I need to do better on, right? So all that kind of insight and directed steps towards improving your models and applications is what we provide.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, Jigar. One last question from Ravindra from Carrier. So, Ravind, yes, over to you.
Yes, yeah. I think, thanks, Jigar. I think I just have two questions. On the IoT side, I think we do work with a lot of IoT devices. So what's been your exposure or in driving some of these testing, and what kind of accuracy you're able to get? And the second one is, how much level of testing data do you need access to improve the accuracy of your LLM, of our LLM models, basically?
So Ravindra, like even if you're deploying on the edge devices, many of our customers are in the automotive world and otherwise. There is a pre-deployment evaluation where our system fits in because it's on the cloud. But at the same time, migration, like we also have hardware in the loop testing where you can actually set up your application to be running on your hardware, and then we are testing it still in a lab setting, right? For robustness and all the other dimensions that we talk about that we support on our platform. What becomes challenging is the real-time evaluation or monitoring that we are talking about, right? In which case, if you already have a server client setup where information is being transmitted in a near real-time setup back to the cloud, that's where our evaluations are optimized to run right now, not directly on the edge device in real time. So that's the answer to question 2. Repeat the second question.
Yeah, it's more on the training data, like how much training data do you need?
How much is enough? That is actually one of the core questions that we solve, right? So, I mean, even if somebody is evaluating today their model on some data, like what we do is we help users understand of the total, for example, if you're building a RAG application, given your context, what kind of questions can be answered? That gives us a definition of the universe of questions that can be answered given a context. And if you have some evaluation data or training data, which is like a sample within this universe, we can talk about metrics like coverage, right? So we help users with metrics like coverage, and users can set a bar of like, I want 93% coverage on this data before I go ahead and fine-tune the model. So that is a key part of our work.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So, well, Jigar, I'll tell you, with that demo of yours, you have managed to, generate some serious interest. Now we have one more question from Ashutosh, but one small request: be very precise, right? And with this, then we'll move to our next discussion. Ashutosh, over to you.
Yeah, very quick. So when we are building our RAG, right? So we have our own custom data, private data. So how do you verify the hallucination and etc.? Is there, we need to share again those private data to your application or your platform to verify that whether the response is correct or not? So how do you manage with the RAG especially?
Great question. Our system is deployed on the customer's prem or cloud. It could be bare metal machines, and that's where the testing happens.
Okay, so that platform is going to sit with us, or
yes?
Okay,
exactly.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jigar. Thank you for your time. And let's be in touch, and we'll share the next set of discussion with you shortly, right?
Sure.
And with this, we move to our last presenter of the day. Before that, we open up another round of discussion with our jury. Can we have all our jury on the screen, please? One happy family of all the jury, please. So we have one. All right. So we have Abhay, we have Ashutosh, we have Ravindra, Srinath, Ravi from Yokogawa. All right. So you all would agree with me. AI is everywhere these days, right? We breathe AI now, and we meet a lot of startups. We have my colleagues here. We have Sushant. We have Hema here. You can ask them. We need startups faster than you can say large language models, and everyone seems to be slapping AI on their business cards, right? So my question to you is, here's a real question to all the jury present here. How do LLMs, the not so distant cousin of AI, plan to rise above the noise and dominate the next decade? So again, this is an open question. So Abhay, would you like to take it up first?
Sure. So
there's so much halla around, right? How do you see?
Yeah, true. So I think in our say in L'Oreal also, when we meet a lot of startups and also a lot of organizations who provide solutions on AI, which were more related to the algorithms part. But now Gen AI is more useful in scenarios where you have a lot of reports. You don't have time for the researchers, because if you see daily in beauty industries also, if you see if you work on any product say testing, there will be one more competitor in the market who has already launched the product. So for us also, it is important that using LLMs, how we faster our research related techniques. Like we have done a lot of tests in the past, how we can use that information by using LLMs so that there is a summary or some insights which can be generated for the researchers. Some sort of technological move related to Gen AI is something which is we are trying to adopt. But yes, definitely sometimes it is too much for the people or the researchers. So like someone like me from the data science background, it will be easy to adapt. But if suppose you are selling this to someone who is non-technical background, their work is not on the computers, but they are sitting in the research labs, to make them understand how we can use it. For them, it is somewhere down the line still a loop to pass through. But yes, definitely as a team from our side, from the tech team, we are trying to make sure that Gen AI is the next thing that they should learn and try to adapt.
Nicely put. All right. So, Ravind, would you like to take it up?
Yeah, sure. I think you're right. I think most of the startups, I think nowadays we only have AI startups. I think we don't have another kind. So, but then it's rightly true, because I think every startup comes with a problem statement that they're trying to solve, and they're trying to leverage technology in the best way possible, and these technologies will continue to evolve. So I think it's also important, like I was mentioning, I think we do a lot of educating our stakeholders inside the organizations to understand where this is going. Make sure, I think one of the things which we have done is we have mandated a Gen AI assessment exam across the organization. So right from a CDO to a entry-level employee should take that assessment to actually know where they stand in the broad scheme of things. And then that assessment helped us to categorize, okay, we have a set of users, they might be working in a different project, but these are really good at understanding the technology. And I want them to work with some of the next, building up, maybe working with a startup building some new capabilities using LLMs, because they have a working hands-on already. So that way it is accelerating some of the work. But you rightly said, I think even the startups are quite creative. I think we saw some good startups today who have been very niche in their solutions, and they're trying to create an impact in the organization. So I think, yeah, I'm sure I would not label it as Gen AI. I think across, I would still call it an AI. I think many a time we try to confuse between classical AI and generative AI, and then we'll have AGI going forward. So I think these terms will continue to evolve, but I think what we need to be cautious is, okay, we're using an algorithm. Machine learning is what I would still go to the foundation of what it is all about. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Thank you, Ravin. Perfectly summed up. So now we'll, go to these snow peak mountains. We go to Ravi from Yokogawa. Ravi, your thoughts on it? You're in mute again if you're speaking.
Okay, so this is my learning and my observation in our Gen AI journey at Yokogawa. So if you see this classical AI ML, right? So there was it was okay, basically for a mass, but for internal usage, it was difficult for everyone to easily adopt it. But Gen AI, as basically, if you have a ChatGPT kind of interface, people are ready to accept and adopt it. Basically, they may have to learn few things related to prompt engineering, so which is basically not difficult for their day-to-day work. So that's where people were able to initially adopt it. Okay, later came the privacy and other concerns, which from a technology point of view, we need to address that. But main point here is the accessibility of the technology, and adopting that technology was very much useful. So another thing that we actually also did was we developed a proof of concepts on them to show like what are the capabilities of the LLMs and how it can be adopted. And one thing definitely triggered to the organization here was that we try to integrate this LLM into their day-to-day activities, like a co-pilot, but not necessarily just an open co-pilot. So it's seamlessly integrates into their day-to-day work. So with that, like people were able to understand it, use it, and also come up with the new use cases how this technology can be adopted in mass within the organization. So this is my take, but here we are able to adopt it for internal usage very much, but still how it can be taken to our customers, because our customers are too much conservative on using this any new technology. So that's where like we are trying to struggle. We are actually struggling there, like how this thing can be taken to our end customers. So that's what my input here.
Right. So thank you, Ravi. Well, one common consensus we have among us that there is again a great scope of adoption among the industry, within the industries. So we move to Ashutosh now. Ashutosh, your thoughts on it?
Yes. So from our side, if you see the industry we are coming from, right, especially on the software application, and right. So currently we are not focusing on something to build from scratch. We already have so we started focusing directly on Gen AI side. So that's the reason we do not want to spend a lot of time initially and build. So we are not the company who known for the building a model. So we really wants to use those existing model and build on top of that. That is where the RAG comes into picture, and that is what my team and everyone is focusing on RAG. Yes, and if you see what Jigar has shown, right, definitely I would like to connect and see how that they identify the hallucination and the wrong responses. And right, when we are putting our data into the system, right, really wants to make sure that the responses what is going to be 100%. So that is where the point is, I think Habe also was talking about. So from here, I think we are going to focus more on Gen AI instead of building our own model and fresh model from scratch.
Correct. All right. So Abhay, your thoughts, your take.
Yeah, I already shared.
Right. So all right. So we all covered? Okay. Srinath, I think we missed you.
Yeah, hi. So, Naman, I think your point was also about longevity, right? Like, how do we ensure
Correct.
LLMs stick around and are popular, let's say, a decade from now? So, I think the evolution of the technology is clearly in the right direction. We are seeing better and better technologies, models, use cases being adopted. So, I think that will be a natural curve. To ensure longevity, I think it's important we are careful about adoption, focus on quality. Like engineers tend to use it like a bazooka wherever we can. It needs to be tempered with data scientists like Abhay and others who can help evaluate when it's performing well with tools like Raga AI and others. So I think cautious adoption will help that it's around for longer time.
Correct. We all agree with that. So I would request everyone to, hold on to your seats. We have our last presenter of the day. So probably we have saved the best for the last. Everyone was best. So we have now Ayush Garg, who is the co-founder of Portkey. Ayush, can we have you on the screen, please?
Hey, hi Naman.
Hi
Thanks for
Ayush.
inviting me. I hope audio is clear. You can see me.
Yeah. Yes. Audio is clear and you may go and present your case.
Absolutely. Fine, fine.
Just share your screen if you want.
Yeah. Right. Hi everybody. Thanks a lot for finding time and inviting me to present Portkey. Portkey is the control panel for your AI applications. What we try to solve for is your journey from a POC to production, right? I think we've heard from multiple panelists here, multiple presenters, that while it is extremely easy to do a POC, you plug in an API or you just log into ChatGPT, start talking to it, figure out, okay, these are the use cases that are potentially solvable through using LLMs, but actually productionizing them, putting them in front of millions of users is a long journey. And a lot of times I see this also a moving target, right? You figure out, okay, hey, this model works best for my use case. By the time you try to take it to a beta stage, there is already a newer model, maybe a faster, cheaper, suits better for your use case. And then, you end up retesting all of those things. You've tested something, you've tested a prompt with provider A, you've tested your guardrails, but then, hey, there's provider B. Now, do you go ahead with provider A or do you spend time now fixing things with or testing things with B? This is one of the challenges. Of course, there are many. A quick context about me. I've been working with generative AI for the last 4 years, since GPT-2 and GPT-3 private beta release happened. And we built an application called peppertype.ai, which scaled to 1 million users globally. And it was, you can say, very early pioneers of content creation or marketing content creation applications using LLMs. And over the course of 2 years building it and scaling it, both me and my co-founder, we learned that, hey, there are a bunch of things that we had to go through every other week just to ensure that our app runs as it is expected to in production. And we've come together with that learnings and realize, hey, all of these are solvable and not essentially part of my business logic. These are all ops challenges. And that's what we're trying to solve with Portkey. So right now, all of us agree that, hey, AI it's accessible for all moment. It's extremely easy to plug in an API and do extremely complex tasks with very ease. and you don't need to take months to train models, test models, deploy, etc. I think the machine learning and AI engineers would agree with me that a couple of years back, it was a long list of tasks that you need to do to take any ML model to prod. You would find the data, clean the data, test it, train it, and then long pipelines, long data engineering queues, do go for beta testing and then go live. And after doing all of these exercises, you would have already spent maybe like 6 months, 9 months, and you've achieved, let's say, 20% accuracy or 20% improvements with your current output. And that used to be like a big achievement. But everything changed after January 21 with the launch of GPT-3. You write prompts, connect an API, and you go live. Right? So your time to market or your time to POC, if I should say, has just come down to probably a weekend. But as soon as you try to put more traffic, I'm sure a lot of us or most of us have seen the screen, you start facing these intermittent challenges. Right? The models that you're using, they don't have enough quotas, or they don't have enough, a reservation that you can, or reserve that limits that you can get that suits your requirements or suits your use cases, so you're rate limited. You put in a lot of work. You said, okay, we would get multiple licenses, we'll do a round robin or whatever, we'll host something ourselves. But then, while you overcome the challenge of scale, you are getting extremely useful feedback from a user saying, hey, your AI doesn't work. And there is no next step from here, because these LLMs, they typically work like a black box. You don't really know what's going to be the output for a given input to a larger extent. And all of this is because these are probabilistic in nature. Like over the last 2 decades or more, probably, we have spent so much time optimizing for deterministic systems. We've built observability stack around them. We've built APMs. We've built a bunch of tooling to get that confidence that, hey, I'm writing this code, I'm testing, and it will work, and it will work all the time. We don't have that sort of confidence when we talk about, or when we try to work with generative AI. And then, maybe you build your own stacks, or you are very rich, you integrated Datadog, you're sending all your input tokens, output tokens to Datadog and saying, okay, now I can see what's happening. But then this is still a problem. Every day there is a new model coming out. There are different ways of doing things. There are new vector databases. There are new embedding algorithms coming in. Do you spend time optimizing the application that you've already put out? Do you focus on the business use cases, or you focus on keeping yourself updated and your application updated with the latest and greatest in the industry? Right? And these are very real, I think, challenges once you're in production, that there's a problem of hallucination. And it's a very funny, incident that a chatbot sold a Chevy Tahoe for $1 and says, hey, it's a legally binding offer, no takes, no backsies. Of course, this wasn't, I don't remember any legal case, but we've all heard news of happening similar cases, their lines, where they were actually taken to court. And after we're spending so much time in learning about it, scaling about it, if you think all of these are essentially simple ops challenges. If you're trying to solve a use case, you have a LLM, you have a service, it returns the output, that's what you need. But all of these challenges are very traditional, have been existing in our traditional engineering as well. Right? We would have our DevOps teams take care of it, of the scaling, of the reliability, of the robustness. The DevOps teams have been taking care of it, and the same challenges is what we're facing now. And that's where Portkey comes in. Portkey helps you fix these ops challenges with a 2-line upgrade. And how we do it is essentially your application, which is currently directly talking to the AI model. And when I say AI model, this could be any model, hosted model, proprietary model, fine-tuned, running your own model, anything. But your application is directly interacting with it. So we take you from this to essentially this, what we call as the AI gateway pattern. what is happening is your application is talking to a gateway, which is, think of this like a middleware. And that middleware is actually giving you connections to all the possible models out there. So it's a unified interface, which means it's a single API or a single format of APIs to interact with all the models and the new models that would come out in the future. So you never have, if you want to try a different model, you want to try a different prompt, you never have to go back to your application to swap out the SDKs or change or refactor the code. All you do is just update your configurations in the gateway. So what essentially this gateway is doing is it becomes the router, deterministic routing or smart routing. You basically write your rules. Hey, if these conditions are met, call this model. If that model fails, fall back to this model. Or you can write your A/B testing, routing mechanisms, or any thing that solves for or required by your use case. Because everything is routed through this single source. Of course, you get a common observability stack. All your interactions across a very common structure that we see in enterprises is there is a central COE team which is taking care of the AI, and there's a bunch of platform teams or feature teams who would interact with it. So now the COE team can simply host this gateway as a single service, and all your applications across in different verticals or different areas within the organization can start speaking just to that single service. You can put in your rate limits, you can put your budgets, all of those, admin tasks or compliance things, you can do it here. You get prompt management, you get guardrails, and you get, of course, the security. So there, I'm not going very deep in the interest of time in all of these, but it gives you full control of what's happening, who's doing, what's my quality, how much I'm spending, what's the performance of the LLM in terms of costs, latencies, and what's the visibility into how good the LLM is performing in terms of performance. How many times do you see your guardrails failing? Which prompts are failing more? You can even drill down to any of these metrics per user, per session, or aggregate them over any metadata that you would like. There's prompt management built in, the security. You want to do a PII redaction, you want to do any proprietary data masking, all of those things you plug it in and configure it in the gateway and get full control, full visibility. And what I'm most excited about is future proofing, which essentially is because there's one single place and it's agnostic to your application and it is agnostic to the models you're using, you get your full forward compatibility. You don't rewrite the code. Right? And I think I just have a couple of case studies with me. So we work with Postman. So Postman enjoys their 40 plus metrics through a single pane of glass. Tracing is extremely important. So they have deployed, they have a product called PostBot, which is deployed for 20 million plus developers across the globe, and the entire thing is built on Portkey. So they've built agentic workflows, and they need extremely capable logging and tracing, so they can see what's happening, how the users are interacting, and based on their usage, they can route the calls on the fly and switch models easily. We work with a company called Longshot, again, future-proofing their deployments. They work probably with 20 plus models. I think I 100% agree with Arko when he mentioned that every enterprise or even a small or medium business, the way we see it, everybody either is already using multiple smaller models with the larger model or will use. But the future is, or the production looks like an array of models available, and you route to the best one, or you fall back or configure your routing based on the use case. For example, you have a simple use case which is summarize this paragraph. You don't need a GPT-4. Oh, you're good with the Llama probably. Right? Couple of more safe and secure outputs through guardrails. So we have this concept of pre-request hooks, post-request hooks. You can configure your rules. These guardrails, again, could be a very deterministic guardrail, or it could be a probabilistic one. And based on the output of these guardrails, you can decide, okay, what do I want to do next? A quick example could be if you're building a chat bot and let's say a user enters their PII, you don't even want to send that PII to the LLM. You would put a guardrail to check, hey, if the request contains in the PII, return 400. Right? Same way you can, safeguard your users if the LLM is returning any hallucination or any bad content. You may want to put in a guardrail there and return the user 500 instead of showing some random data. So yeah, couple of more slides I have.
Almost time, Ayush. You need to wind it up quickly.
So I think that's essentially what we're doing. We've processed about, I think this number is now about 600 million tokens, and we've integrated about 30 odd providers with 400 plus models and counting. This is, I think, a slide I decided for enterprises, how this entire thing can be deployed. The entire data plane can be deployed in the customer's cloud. Control plane remains in the Portkey cloud, and we can leverage best of both worlds. And yeah, that's my time. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Ayush, for such an insightful presentation. And to all our, guests, jury, and startups out there, I would like to highlight one thing. The success of, we do a lot of sessions, by the way, under the banner of Open Innovator, and the success of, any session truly depends on the engaged audience who stays with us until the very end. And today, seeing this almost full house right now with barely any drop off is absolutely heartwarming. It speaks volume about the quality of discussion that we just had and the incredible startups we have had the pleasure of meeting today, right? And so with this, we open up the questions for Portkey. Any query, any question, please be free to ask Ayush directly. Or looks like you explained it quite nicely. Right. We have Minali Sharma. Minali, please feel free to post your query in the chat box.
Minali, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Okay,
yes,
thank you. Yeah, I could unmute myself. Thank you very much for that. So Ayush, excellent presentation. Thanks. So I want to understand, you said that there are different LLMs with which customers app is able to interact. So we come from an industry where we are very much concerned about data safety and security. So first of all, how do you take care of integrating different LLMs? Do we need to basically apply for licenses with each one of them? Let's say if we are using OpenAI or other models which are not so open sourced, or like Portkey takes care of that. And second question is, do you require to do fine tuning for each of them?
Great questions, Minali. So Portkey is the middleware layer. We don't provide any models. It's you bring your own models and you bring your own use case or the application. Portkey would provide you the gateway and observability, security, everything else. So if you want to use, let's say, 5 models, 6 models, or whatever for different use cases, you would have to procure those licenses. Portkey is capable enough to connect with any of those, be it proprietary models, self-hosted models, or fine-tuned models, wherever they are.
Okay.
On your second question, do we really need to do fine-tuning? I mean, it's not mandatory. A very, very common use case that I have seen people do is they would start a use case with, let's say, a GPT-4, a niche use case. They would probably have, let's say, 1,000, 2,000 interactions. They would take out the best logs and then fine-tune 3.5 on that particular use case, so that now they're able to reduce their cost latencies by over 10x. And that's the most common use case, moving from a bigger model to a fine-tuned smaller model for a niche or a specific task. But I mean, it's not really a mandatory thing for you to do. If your task is generic enough and a smaller model can do it directly, you don't really need to fine-tune per se.
I understand. And the last question is, let's say in the last slide you had explained there is an interaction between Portkey Cloud and the service, let's say if it is hosted on customer's cloud.
Right.
So is it possible to decouple those things and let's say facilitate everything on the customer's cloud only so that it's totally in-house?
Definitely, and that's possible. Yes, that's the one I presented was the most easiest recommended faster. But if you want to have the entire thing deployed within your cloud, that's definitely possible.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ayush.
So Minali, could you also please introduce yourself? You represent which organization?
Yes, sure. So I'm senior data scientist at Baker Hughes, Bangalore. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your questions, Minali.
Thanks.
All right. Any other queries from any of our jury members or any other attendees, any other guest? Please feel free. Now is the time, or we can also connect with Ayush offline later.
Sure.
All right,
it's
Ayush.
about time.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
before we wind up, any final thoughts from our jury? Anything you wish to share, or any feedback? Anything in general? All right. I see Abhay.
Yeah.
All
So I think thank you. So Ayush, thank you, Arko, thank you, Jigar. I think this was something which was very useful. When we work in an industry, startups can definitely provide quick and easy solutions. But just for our purpose to connect more further, is there somewhere a use case that we can prove? So Naman, if while organizing, if you can also take up one of the use case from our side, like what we are looking for, so that Jigar, Ayush, or Arko would have taken up those part and would have been the highlight for us to understand, and definitely we can take that offline also. But just to give you an idea, in L'Oreal, in our industry, we generate a lot of reports, we generate a lot of Excel testings, because we do a lot of customer volunteer evaluations and everything. So we want to use GenAI in parts of connecting all the reports, all the Excels to create a journey map. Because if you do go right now, today we use visualization to check what was being reported in PDF, then what is done in Excel, and then you have many other reports. So how LLMs can be useful when we have to create one journey map, so that it doesn't give hallucination for sure, because in research industry that is something which is good. So all that use cases will be helpful to work with.
No. This is actually a very good point, Abhay. Point well taken. And this is more of a generic session that we do. We also do exclusive, webinar sessions, use case discussions for companies like you. So would be happy to take it up, right? And we can plan something together, right? Definitely.
Sure. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for presenting.
And any final thoughts from Srinath or
It
Ravi?
was, Naman, it was very good. I mean, from all our startup, and I see there is a huge potential. I mean, to connect one of those, and maybe I would like to invite one of them to our organization and talk in much little detail, definitely. So that is what I'm looking, and we never thought. How this the LLM is gone beyond that, right? We are just thinking very small part, because we just started from our organization. There's a lot to do on the deployment side and the QA side, which Jigar was talking about, right? To especially. So definitely it was very useful, and I will definitely love to connect with them.
Well, guys, there you have it. You have it from Ashutosh, right? So we have got the ROI of this complete session. One of you will be an exclusive guest at dinner, right? So who that lucky person would be, we'll shortly know. But anyway, thank you, Ashutosh. And any final thoughts, Srinath?
It was very informative and interesting. All the startups solutions and ideas are very relatable, solving very relevant pain points. So look forward to probably interacting with you when we work on some of the problems. Thanks.
All right. So there you have it. I think we are good to go now. And as we draw closure to this session today, I would like to take a moment to reflect on the wealth of knowledge and discussion that we have had today, right? It was truly wonderful. And the insights into the large language models and their potential to, revolutionize, or let's say transform the industries, have been truly enlightening. So we got a chance to discuss some of the cutting edge use cases. And special thanks to all our team jury, Abhay, Srinath, Ashutosh, Ravi, and Ravindra, everyone, thank you so much. Your perspective have provided us with a deeper understanding onto how to harness the applications of LLM. And a huge thanks to all the startups who presented their innovative solutions today. We'll be in touch. We'll connect with you offline. And especially to all our audience who have stayed with us till the end, thank you for your active participation and engagement. And if you wish to be a part of our regular sessions and would like to join this community, please write to us. Remember, this journey doesn't end here. And let's continue to foster a strong community of leaders, innovators, and advocate of technology. So on that note, once again, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you to our next session, which is planned exactly a month back, a month later. So have a wonderful evening and, keep innovating. And thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Raman.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.